Hey everyone, I've had several people talk to me about asking me to share a more longer version of my story and testimony. So I wrote something out and I'm going to try to share it here today. So I've thought about it and prayed about it for a while, and I've been asked, as well as I just kind of felt led to share more of my personal journey when I speak on stages all around the world. A lot of people hear me speak on whatever that subject is that I'm speaking on and training on, but a lot of people don't know the whole backstory to my journey. And so I just wanted to share a little bit more of that. There are so many women that I've been able to help the last 25 years since I started my business, and even more the last 15 years since I started training and coaching. But I also see so many get stuck or, get afraid that they won't ever make it. And, I know I've been there too. I know what it feels like when you're struggling to pay the mortgage or buy food for your kids. My kids laugh at me now because they will go to the store and buy ramen noodles or ask me to buy ramen noodles when we go shopping. And I ate so many during those struggles that I said I would eat grass in the backyard before I ever eat them again. So this will probably be a little bit longer, but I'm going to go a little bit more in depth, and probably a little bit more than any other times that I've spoken on these subjects, just kind of feeling like God telling me to be a lot more transparent and letting you see more into the life of some of our very low times, our middle of the road, as well as our high times. But because, many times we focus on those high times, and, when others see us, when we're on stage, when we're speaking at events, it's all the perfect scenario. It's the nice part, and you see all the perfect life and all the good things, right? And so, and then also just for me to kind of look back on and remember some of those times and, keep me humble and allow me to share some of God's blessings with everyone that, that it's totally Him that has gotten me through all these times. So I'm going to start and go way back. In 1993, I was working as the head bookkeeper for Home Depot. I was pregnant with our second child, and I was telling my husband that I wanted to quit work so I didn't miss all the first that I did with my first one. And I simply wanted to be a mom and raise my kids myself and with my morals and values. But this would also mean me losing 100% of my income that we were using at that time. And then at the same time, my husband, Brian, was wanting to pursue his dream and his passion to become a police officer and help other people and save lives. And he wanted to leave his factory job, which was going to have him losing 50% of his income. And then we were pregnant, so we were adding a new baby. But we both wanted to support each other, and so we said that we would do it. And I didn't want to be one of those wives that had her husband working 3 jobs at a time that never saw me or the kids. So I was looking for ways to work from home around my husband and my children's schedules. And so at that time, my sister was pregnant too. And so she had a baby 2 months before mine. And so I started babysitting her, and then I kept a friend's child and then a few more. And so I ended up running Little Tykes Christian Learning Center for 14 years in our home until my youngest started kindergarten. And then at that same time, the internet was coming out for the real world. And so we got our first credit card. We bought a computer, and back then they weren't as cheap or as small as they are now. They were, the one that we got, it was $5,000, and it was a big box. But I decided to learn this new internet thing, and, I knew businesses needed like business cards on the web. They needed websites. And so I knew lots of people that owned their own businesses, including both my parents. My dad was a custom home builder. My mom was a beautician the first 20 years of my life, and then a massage therapist and reflexologist the next 20 years of my life. So I decided to make a few for family and friends and build up my profile. And then I started charging companies and businesses. And I told God if He would partner with me and be my business partner, and if He would teach me, then I would use it for Him. And so After a few years, I remember doing my taxes and my accountant told me I had hit 6 figures for the first time. I was so excited. I not only surpassed what my husband made working out in the real world as a police officer, but I did it from home. I did it around my kid's schedule and his schedule, and all the while doing all my mom and wifely duties. So I was kind of proud of myself, but I also knew that, you know, it was all glory to God by helping and blessing our family. And then I had also joined a health network marketing company. Since I knew how to create web pages, I was good at it, and I was good at getting people listed high in the search engines organically. I attracted people from all around the world, and I got to a high 5 figures a month. And that lasted a good while, and we were blessed. We bought a few toys and thinking, you know, the money would never end. It would only get better, right? And so I had never done anything like that before, and had very little training on it. So we got me an excursion for me and all the kids. We got him a new Mustang. We got him a new Harley, and things were going very well for our family. And we had quite a bit of money in the bank, and we thought we were pretty financially set. And then he had back surgery that they told us would be 100% sure make him better, and it didn't. It made him worse. And that led to lots of pain medications, medications to wake up, medications to go to sleep, which led to him having to leave the job that he loved, and which led to all kinds of stress, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually, you name it, we had it. And then also during that time, I had to find a job that would provide insurance for our family and for him and for our kids and myself, of course. And so then at the same time with all that, the wonderful company that I was in changed the comp plan for the distributors, and my income went from 5 figures a month one month to 3 figures a month the next month. So after having a good amount in savings and in other places, you know, we thought we were financially set, but that surgery and lots of hospital bills and medical bills all changed that. And so we called the Harley place to come pick up the bike because he could no longer ride it anyway with his back. We sold the Mustang for what we owed on it, and I started answering phones for this company pretty much from 6 a.m. to midnight at home, and many times 7 days a week. They offered lots of overtime, and I took it whenever they did. We budgeted, and I literally learned every single way to make ramen noodles. 3 bags of ramen noodles and a bag of frozen vegetables makes a pretty good dinner for a family of 6. And we did that a lot, often. So, and then I also found a company called Send Out Cards back in 2004, and we would use it just to send happiness through the mail to other people. I'd always loved to send out cards and make people smile. And it was one of the things that would get me through many of those moments, knowing that I was making a difference in someone else's mailbox in their heart when they got that and opened that mail that wasn't bills, and they, you know, smiled. And then I also used it in my business as well as teaching other people to use it in their business. Thank you for talking to me. Thank you for your business. Thank you for thinking about me. Designing your website, your business cards, flyers, anything that I did for people, I sent them thank you cards that they, you know, hired me in business for. But those cards many times landed me more jobs and more contracts because I sent them even before I got the business with the intention of getting it and thanking them for even just talking to me and giving me the time. Then I also went on to become an executive distributor or referral partner with the company and the top 20 income earners and a corporate trainer with the company. I've spoken at many of their events and conventions, and blessed to have a huge growing team of customers and distributors all over the world. Keeping in touch with clients and customers and friends and family helped me to build relationships on top of what I did, and training others on like via texting and phones and in-person video chats, blogs, newsletters, and everything else I teach in my best-selling book, Keep Those Clients. So then in January 1st of 2009, I had my first real heartache. I was carrying my 5th child, a baby girl, to almost 6 months, and I went into labor early and she didn't make it. And I remember going to the hospital, and in the hospital, I overheard someone say, "That's what she gets for going out on New Year's Eve." and I was in church on New Year's Eve. I hadn't had a drop of alcohol since I was 22 years old. I'm thankful I had learned that lesson early, but that comment that hurt, and I cried. And I'm sure I wasn't meant to hear that comment, but I did. And so I had resolved to write in a gratitude journal that year for my New Year's resolution. And this was the morning of January 1st of 2009. And I came home and I pulled out the journal and laid in my bed and asked God, what am I supposed to write in this stupid journal? And he quickly pricked my heart about the other 4 wonderful, healthy children that he gave to me. And so I decided to start writing in that journal every single day. I would pick 5 things to write, specific and in detail, of what I was thankful for that day, during that day. And I've done that every day since then, since January 1st of 2009. My next major heartache, I was getting on stage to speak at an event in Knoxville, Tennessee for my Send Out Cards company. I got a phone call that my husband had been killed in a very tragic car wreck. And, it's funny how God works. I had my 2 youngest kids with me. My mom, who rarely traveled with me and hardly ever had ever heard me speak at any events, actually came with me that weekend. And then my oldest son, he had rode to work that day with our pastor's oldest son. And so I called my oldest daughter, and then I called my son, and then the people at the event put me in a back room to keep me secluded from everybody. They brought my mom in for me to tell her the news. And then they brought each one of my younger children in one at a time for me to tell them. They kept me hidden till the event was over, as the roads were not good, and to try to protect me. And then the people that were running the event drove and followed me all the way home, 5 hours each way to make sure I got home okay. The CEO of our company offered to fly me home too, but I declined because I couldn't imagine being in a plane with that, with a bunch of people. And so I said I wanted to drive. So then we lost our family dog, Bullet. He was a boxer. We had him for 13 years, and we lost him 6 months after my husband. And then the next month, my grandfather, my dad's dad, passed away. And then my father-in-law that we cared for many years, he lived in our garage apartment after he had a stroke and heart attack. He passed away in March of 2014. And then in 2015, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Thankfully, with chemo and a lot of natural that she did, she beat it. So she's perfectly healthy, and we're very grateful and thankful for that. Then late in 2015, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and we lost her in March of 2016. And then we lost my kid's grandfather, where the kids pretty much grew up on his family farm, in 2016, and then his wife, the kid's grandmother, in 2017. So through those steps, also, God had me write my second book that became a bestseller called We All Have Choices. Because, we all kind of go through stuff in life, but we have choices on how we react to that and what we do with the things that happen to us that is going to plan for our future and our next steps in life. I joined a nonprofit many years ago, over 20 years ago, called Cops Wives. And so with a lady that her husband had gotten shot on the job, and then I developed that into a website, copswife.com, and I eventually took that over, and I have ran that for the last 20 plus years. God also led me to start another nonprofit, Wonderful Widowed Women, to help support widows back in 2013, as well as I co-founded Gratitude Girls with my partner, Catherine, in Canada in June of 2013. And then my web and graphics design and branding and marketing company, it just kept growing. And now I design websites for 7, 8, and 9-figure income clients, helping them to completely rebrand. And several of them I've turned from high dollar physical locations into all virtual. And that just took off the last, about 10 years, a lot. And one time I remember going to my pastor and, crying, saying, why am I being so successful all of a sudden? And that I'd always prayed for success, but I didn't want to have that success, for my husband to be gone in order to have that. And, and he tried to tell me that, God helps people who stay called to his calling. Lost my train of thought, but anyway, and I'm far from perfect by any means, but I do try to listen to what he tells me to do and leads me to. So, and then with my coaching company, God has allowed me to attract other coaches as well. And I ended up becoming a certified coach in life, business, and ministry. And so I coach each week, not only for my own clients, but also for some other coaches, which expands my tribe and my influence all around the world. And then same thing with my speaking engagements. They've grown drastically over the last 10 years. It's funny where 25 years ago when I started my company, I stayed behind closed doors, behind my computer. And I remember a man named Rod Cook that I met many years ago and then met in person probably about 25 years ago. And he nicely told me that I needed to get out from behind my computer and start working with people more one-on-one and in person and on stages. And that has just evolved over the years. And I never thought that I would be here where the biggest crowd that I've spoke to now is over 10,000 people. But they have grown, and I've been blessed to be traveling about 1 to 3 times a month, every single month, all over the world. I speak at corporate events and for companies on sales training, on keeping your clients, relationship marketing, keeping in touch with people, and much more, as well as a lot of my speaking engagements for ministry has also increased, of course, especially with widows events, but also Christian wives, Christian moms, single moms, grief counseling, many things like that. God's just opened so many doors. Making him my business partner, was the best decision ever. And I'm truly thankful and grateful for my life. I have 4 beautiful, healthy children here, one in heaven that her daddy got to hold before me. And it doesn't mean my life is perfect. Doesn't mean that I don't ever cry. I have moments that I cry. I feel like giving up. I have struggles. But I try to focus on the things that, that I can be grateful and thankful for. And I try to remember those, in those moments. And, that always helps. And especially having that gratitude journal, I go back and I read through that of things that, because a lot of times in those moments, you don't remember all those things that you should be thankful and grateful for, right? So writing that down helps. And I go back when I have those moments and I can read those. And I can help lift myself back up to where I need to be to go out and help more people that God's calling me to help. So anyway, so that's about it that I have for you. Hopefully, you guys, that maybe it might help somebody. And I challenge you to do the same. Get a gratitude journal. Just go to the store, get a dollar store one. It doesn't matter. Keep it in your purse. Keep it in your nightstand. And every day, take 5 things and just think about that day and take 5 things that you can be specific and in detail that you're thankful and grateful for that day. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thanks so much. Blessings.